Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at Pinhook Vertical Series number 6. So it's a 6 year. So if you're at all familiar with Pinhook, you know that the Vertical Series, they're doing additions where they took some mass-produced bourbon and they're aging it in their own barrels starting for 4 years and all the way up through 12 years. Currently they're on either 8 or 9. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's 8. And I have all of the ones that they've released so far. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through and doing reviews on them, the ones that I have, and then progressively as they come out over the next few years, I'm going to go ahead and get them and do reviews on those as well. See how they compare since it's all the same stock of bourbon being aged in the same barrels, just progressively 1 year at a time. Ideally, I would have liked to start at number 4 and worked my way up, but I only have bottles number 6 and 7 open right now, and I need to finish off some bottles before I open some more. I'm just flat running out of space on my shelf. So we're starting with bottle number 6, and we'll kind of be scattered here and there. I'll create a playlist, which you'll be able to get these videos so they're all compiled together. But we're going to start off with number 6 and kind of go from there. So as you can see, it's already been opened. My dad and I tried this a couple of weeks ago, and we do really enjoy it. But I don't remember the exact tasting profile, so we're gonna go through and take a look. I'll let it sit for a second, and I have the notes pulled up from their website. So the 6-year bourbon war showcases rich aromas of brown sugar, licorice, and toasted almond. Subtle notes of smoke and honey exhibited by the 5-year vintage have developed into a full palette of black cherry, cloves, and Tahitian vanilla. So this is a 75% corn, 20.5% rye, 4.5% malted barley mash bill, and it is 107 proof. Now, one of the things that I really like about Pinhook, particularly this vertical series, is the attention to detail. So what you'll notice right here on the bottle is you're going to see a white and sort of a tan bronze design. Each of their bottles looks the exact same in terms of the formatting, except that design changes on each of their bottles. It's really important attention to detail that sort of exhibits the care that goes into these. That would be my dog walking around. Oreo, lay down. Or go upstairs. That works too. Again, the attention to detail, I really enjoy. It showcases how much each of these bottles mean to the distillery, which I find very important in terms of the craft that goes into it. So even though they didn't distill their own bourbon. The other thing that I really like, and for me, this is a big deal because I struggle to find ways to incorporate my mom into my bourbon. My dad is a big bourbon fan, as you know if you follow the channel. My mom not so much, and so it's a little bit hard for her to be invested. And the way that Pinhook ties in horses to their bottles is a really good way for me to be able to bring my mom into the fold and give her something to be interested about because she likes scanning the barcodes on the back, reading about the horses, and finding out a little bit more. So from that standpoint alone, I'm already a big fan of Pinhook, but I find the quality of the bourbon that they produce to be very good as well. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and give it a nose and a taste. Little alcohol-y on the nose, but very sweet. Definitely woody. It's smoky and sweet, almost a little bit cinnamony. It's got a little bit of bite to it. I'd say it drinks slightly higher than 107 proof. It's got a decent burn to it. Overall, a very good bourbon. So you can't get this from Pinhook anymore. So one of the nice things about Pinhook is you can buy directly from their website, which I really like. But this is not available from them anymore. It's a little bit too old, which is interesting. Be that as it may, they might not have any more allocated bottles, you know, whatever the case is. Distilleries have their own, you know, it's hard to sell bourbon as a distillery, even even in the state, sometimes the laws complicate things. So I have no problem with that. But the really nice thing about these is they're really good quality, and pretty much all these bottles are under $100. The MSRP on most of these bottles is in between the $60 to $80 range, if I remember correctly. And you can get these aftermarket for most of them under $100. There's a couple of them that are right in that $1 to $120 ballpark range. But for the most part, they're under $100. And I have no problem buying these bottles. Pinhook, just the quality of what they're doing, I find to be very, very exceptional. And for the most part, you can get a vast variety of Pinhook bottles at your local grocery store, at your local liquor store. Pavilions by Me has multiple editions of Pinhook that they have on their shelf. And it's a testament to how far the reach of Pinhook has come, because a couple of years ago, you didn't see these bottles anywhere. And from that standpoint, it's very impressive how far they've come. Now, in terms of the actual bourbon itself, like I said earlier, I have no problem spending the amount of money that I did on these bottles because, one, the story behind each bottle, two, the quality of the bourbon, and three, I think that anything under $100, for the most part, if it's good quality, I have no problem spending that. It's when we start clearing the $100 mark that I have a little bit of a problem. Now, my viewpoint on pricing in the bourbon industry has shifted the past couple of years because of how hot it's become. And you just, especially living in California, you're going to have to deal with the inflation. There's no two ways around it. There are certain places that you can go that kind of takes a bite out of that inflation, whether it be Costco or you subscribe to those notification places that tell you when there's deals that show up. I know Dan, the Bourbon Man, does a really great job of sending out email notifications. And I'm a big fan of that work as well. I know that he sends notifications for like when Costco has certain deals and stuff like that. And hats off. I just, that work, I could never put that time and energy into that. I have a day job. And so, I get what I can get when I can get it. I hunt the bourbon auctions and stuff like that, but I don't have a problem spending this money because I think the quality speaks for itself. And especially for something like this, where there's a trackable growth, it is for me very interesting to see how that growth carries on. So in terms of the actual bottle itself, it's a fairly simple bottle design, a pseudo wine bottle design. Not a huge fan of that, but again, the actual care that goes into the label sort of evens it out for me. I love the wax dip. I know Makers is famous for that, but anything that has a wax dip for me, I love. I'm a huge fan of that. It's a little bit of extra step and care that not a lot of distilleries do, and I'm a big fan of that, even though it's fairly simplistic. The color on the bourbon, very nice. That extra aging in those barrels that Pinhook does really brings out the color, and I think color is a really good telltale sign of a quality bourbon, as there are lots of other things that go into it as well. But just for me, it's a really nice addition. So I'll pull the 7 down just so you can see the different design on the bottle. So as you can see, same bronze and white coloring, but slightly different pattern. Each of those bottles have a different pattern, which is really cool. Again, just a little bit of attention to detail that speaks wonders for somebody like me who pays attention to that kind of stuff. But overall, a fantastic quality bottle. Should you buy it? That's the question that I like to ask. And the honest answer is I don't know. It might be a little bit too pricey for some people. The Vertical Series I haven't seen in a ton of markets. I know Pavilions has it. I don't believe Vaughn's. I think Safeway might have their own Select. I don't think they have the Vertical Series in particular. I think they have a single barrel Select series. I know Bevmo has a single barrel Select. The honest answer is if you can get your hand on a bottle of Pinhook, I would try it. I can't speak specifically for this bottle because it's a little bit harder to get a hold of, but I think Pinhook in general is worth the cost if you're able to get your hands on some. Now for this particular bottle, it's very good. I'm gonna drink it. I'm probably not gonna mix with it, which should tell you that I think it's a decent bottle. In my family, my dad is a big fan of Boulevardiers, so he likes to make that with bourbon. And we like to experiment with different bottles to see how the flavors mingle with themselves. This will not be one of those bottles that we use to mix, which tells a lot for me personally about whether or not it's a quality bottle of bourbon. And overall, I enjoy it. I'm probably going to finish this off and not hand it off to my dad because, again, I enjoy the bottle. And that's really all I have to say. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. I'm curious what you think, whether or not you've tried it, whether or not you want to try it, what you think about the Vertical series as a whole. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a few videos on this, each a video for all of them as we go through. And then eventually what I'll be doing is some blind taste testing between the various bottles with my dad. Curious to see what he thinks about them when you compare them side by side, not knowing what's what. And eventually I'll do a lineup and review of them all together next to each other. We'll try them one by one as we go, see how they compare. But overall, I'm excited to do this. It's going to be a little bit of a project. It's going to take a little bit of time as we have to wait for the rest of the bottles to come out. But let me know what you think. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on it. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. As always, enjoy, drink safely, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.